Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. And again, post-draft discussion is what this video is about, but more specifically, we're going to talk about some guys that we think are steals. Obviously, this is a popular term used when a player or when someone thinks a player falls and gets taken much later than they think they should have taken. We all have players that we were very high on in the pre-draft process that we thought of should have gone much higher than they did, so we'll talk about them, have a nice discussion about some guys that we think can have the potential to outperform their draft position in the season.
Yeah, so we're just gonna throw out some names and talk about them. Usually we do a format where we'll pick people and we'll talk about them. This time we're gonna bounce around a bit more. So I'm gonna start. You guys know who I could possibly start with. I'm gonna go with a second round player here, someone that I was hyping up a lot, Christian Barmore, before the draft, saying he was a first round player to me for sure, the best defensive tackle in the draft. I thought went in the second round. Patriots traded up for him.
Yeah.
I still think even with that, that's a steal to me. Shouldn't have been a second round player in my mind, and I think he's going to be a great player for the Patriots for a long time to come. They had a great draft in general, I feel like.
Yeah, they did. And just to add on, I watched Barmore as well. Very athletic at the position, moves better than most defensive tackles you see. A strong tackler, could even occasionally move to the edge. I think the defense will use him in some creative ways in New England. So, yeah, I think it was at that point definitely worth trading up for. I had a first-round grade on him. So, definitely New England, I think, really had a strong draft as well, particularly with their top two picks with the Alabama guys.
Yeah, so, Christian Barmore, he was someone that we saw bouncing around the first-round mocks and a lot of people saying second round, but he ended up going to the Patriots, and I think that's going to pay off for them very nicely. So that's kind of the gist of what we're going to be doing here. Christian Barmore was just one I wanted to throw out first. And now I'm just going to say this one for Ryan, because Ryan loves Rashad Bateman.
There you go.
He fell to the Ravens, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, Ravens fans should be absolutely stoked. Like, not Eric, but they should be absolutely excited.
Is that early or later, Eric Stokes?
Eric Stokes was 2 picks after. But Ravens fans should be thrilled because Rashad Bateman, I believe he's going to be the best receiver from this draft class. You heard it here. When you watch him, you just see an NFL-ready player, and he actually did an Instagram live with the Ravens Instagram a couple days ago, and he talked about that, how he feels like how well-rounded his game is something that makes him most attractive to other teams, and he feels like that just the fact that he could really do it all. He could run routes, he can get open, he's got good hands, he can make the acrobatic catches, just all those things. He checks all the boxes, and with the joke about the Ravens is that they have no receivers, but they got Lamar, a number one guy. And I'm not talking about Tylan Wallace, although that was a nice little pick in the 4th round, I think. I'm not talking about Sammy Watkins. I'm talking about Rashad Bateman. I think Rashad Bateman's going to be the guy in Baltimore, and I think it's going to be very quickly. And quite frankly, definitely by the end of the season, I think Rashad Bateman will be the consensus wide receiver number 1 for the Ravens. But honestly, maybe even on day 1, I think you can see him have that type of role because I just think he checks all the boxes for what you look for in an NFL receiver. The route running is very good, going to help Lamar get some easy throws. He's going to make Lamar Jackson a better quarterback, especially from the pocket. I think he made his quarterback better in Minnesota. I just think he's a guy that you want to have on your offense, a guy that's ready on day 1, and a guy that I think will be the best receiver from this draft class. So obviously I think that he fell to 27 at the Ravens, was the 5th receiver taken, I believe. So an absolute steal for the Ravens. I'm sure the Packers were probably hoping that he'd fall to them, but if you wanted him, I think you should have traded up if you're the Packers. But anyway, Baltimore Ravens fans, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for Bateman because I think he's got a chance to be a number 1 wide receiver. So beyond thrilled for the Ravens, and now they've got a receiver and they've got a good one that's ready to step in on day 1 and someone I think's the best in his class.
This is where we could talk a bit more about it because I know you were super high on Rashad Bateman. I had him 29 on my big board. So that's right around where he did go.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was that much of a steal. I think he's going to be a great player that pans out over time. I don't know if we're going to see the instant impact from you. I'm not trying to say Bateman's a bad player. He's my 5th-ranked receiver. But I don't think he's as much of a steal as you are saying he is. And we've discussed that off camera and on camera. But there are those traits you see from him physically where you go, wow, this guy has a chance to be great. His cuts and his route running.
Just watch the Penn State game from 2019.
There's a couple of examples of that as well.
Yeah.
So, I could see some electric things coming from him, but I think that was right around where he should have gone for me.
Right.
Well, let's go with the one where I think all of us here at the table and a lot of people that know the draft would think is a steal. This is in the 2nd round with the Chicago Bears. Yep. They trade up with the Panthers to select Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle, out of Oklahoma State. Ryan 13th player on his big board, so he was certainly high on him. Tyler, do you remember? You have it up. Where'd you have him? I had him at
26.
26. He ended up going at 39, and this is a guy that a lot of people had ranked as like third, fourth lineman in this draft, and he was able to fall to pick 39 for the Bears to trade up for him. The offensive tackle position was an absolute need for the Bears, especially after drafting their new quarterback for the future, so they got to protect him. This was a really good pick for the Bears, a really good trade up, and really good value at pick 39. Even with the trade up, I still think it's a steal, even though they gave stuff up for him. He's scrappy as all heck, really. I mean, he's kind of like a Taylor Lewan player. Actually, he compared himself to Taylor Lewan. Said he models the game after him. You know, someone that will fight in the trenches and will do whatever he can to protect the quarterback. These are his words, not mine. But, I mean, you watch the film and you can see that from him. So I definitely think he fell farther than he should have. And I'm happy the Bears took advantage of it. That was honestly my favorite pick for the Bears in this draft, even though we did get Justin Fields, but I had Justin Fields at 15 on my big board, and we drafted him, traded up for him at 11. So I thought even that was a bit of a reach with quarterbacks. I always get reached on, so it's a different story. But for Tevin Jenkins, I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he has Pro Bowl potential for sure. I think the Bears are going to get a nice deal from Tevin.
Yeah, you guys are exactly right, just to add on here. And as soon as I saw your team flash on the screen because you traded up, Tevin Jenkins immediately jumped in my mind, and I was like, wow, that's a really good trade. And, you know, it was worth it. I know trading up 2 nights in a row might not be something that sits well, especially when you're a team like the Bears that hasn't had a lot of draft capital in recent drafts. I mean, last year they didn't have a first-round pick. The year before that, there was no first-round pick either, correct?
Yep.
19?
Now we don't have one next
Now
year.
you don't have one next year, so I hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, you guys have really made the points. The guy that's ready to step in, he blocked with the purpose, really blew me away on tape. I actually was watching him late one night, and at about 1:30 in the morning, I randomly texted Tyler. I said, hey, I just watched Tevin Jenkins and Christian Darrisaw. Who do you have higher? He leaned to Darrisaw. I went with Jenkins, and yes, weird people like us text each other about college football prospects at 1:30 in the morning because that's what we do.
I'm asleep by then.
And he's long gone. But people who watch film, that's what we do. So I went with Jenkins. He was my third ranked tackle. So I'm really happy that Bears fans got him. I think they'll love him very quickly. A lot of them already do. He's going to step in quickly. He's big. He's physical, but that guy can move, and he just blocks with a purpose. He can run guys over. He could pass block. He could run block. Just another guy that I thought I had a mid-first round grade on him, and he fell to the early second round. So that says all you need to say. And real quick, I feel like if you're Bears fans, you're thinking trade up for a quarterback or stay at 20 and get a guy maybe like Tevin Jenkins. And Ryan Pace was able to pull off both. So again, you know, Pace has gotten a lot of heat in recent years, and a lot of it is rightfully so. But I think at least this draft, which could potentially be career defining for him, I think at least as of now, you got to hand it to him.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, both of those picks, a lot of people saying are great. I think the Justin Fields one is one I've warmed up to. We've talked about it before on this channel. And the Tevin Jenkins one, like I said before, my favorite pick from the Bears' draft, just because I really like Tevin Jenkins. Talking about him, watching him was fun as well. So we'll continue on here. I have some later round ones, but if you guys have any other ones to throw out, feel free to do so. Well, I was going to throw out names and I didn't talk about them too much, but Merrick and also Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Let's talk about JOK for a bit, too, because we could talk about why he fell also.
Yeah, because it seemed like weirdly suspicious. It got to a point where it was like, okay, did he decide to retire or something? Am I missing something? And DJ kept on bringing him up, like, hey, this guy's number 15 on my board. He's still here. Last year it was DeAndre Swift sticking out like a sore thumb on his big board into the second round. This year it was JOK. So yeah, very surprising. The Cleveland Browns got him. Obviously, there were some medical concerns that popped up after the draft, so that makes it a bit more understandable. But if that's all fixed up, Cleveland got an absolute steal, and that's another team, by the way, that I think had a really good draft, especially at the top with Greg Newsome and JOK.
Even myself, who was not extremely high on JOK, I had him 27 on my big board, so one behind Tevin Jenkins. I was lower on him. I had Zayvon Collins and Jamin Davis just ahead of him, actually. But I still think he fell too far. I mean, I understand there was the heart issue that went on with him, and I guess that scared teams away, but there definitely is a lot of talent from him at the linebacker position that teams passed out on, and he's got a lot of chances to prove teams wrong because teams passed up on him once and twice. So
yeah,
JOK is going to be in for a rude awakening if the medical could be okay. I think he's going to give teams a rude awakening, I should be saying. I'm excited to see what JOK does. We'll see. Like I said, not extremely high on the player himself, but still
it got to
fell
a point
farther
in the second round. Yeah, and it's just interesting because like there was a thing with Caleb Farley about his medical concerns and him also being an opt out. On top of that, he still went in the first round and about where people expected him to go. I actually mocked the pick right, and you did too, right? Yeah. All right. So yeah, we did too. So yeah, he went 22 to the Titans, and that's a player with some injury concerns plus an opt out. So still, I think it's a bit surprising JOK fell, but I got to a point where the Browns just had to say, yes, there's a risk, but we cannot pass this guy up.
Yeah. Who was the other one you mentioned, Jordan?
Merrick.
Oh yeah, Trayvon Merrick. Yeah.
Was not the first safety off the board. Was a little surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And again, no safeties this year in the first round.
Yes.
That happened in 2020 as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know what the safety market is like, but I got two later on ones that I want to talk about, and you guys know who I'm going to talk about. I've talked about these guys before. Those two guys being Chaz Surratt and Elijah Molden. Now, Chaz Surratt fell to the Vikings.
Third round, right?
In the third round, I believe, yes. Yeah. I had him 36 on my big board. He was someone I really liked when I watched him. Didn't understand why people weren't talking about him more. I saw him in top 5 linebacker rankings as we got closer on with the draft, and I think that made some more sense. He was all over the field, stopping the run game, could play the pass even a little bit as well, and blitzing as well. He was someone that I didn't even know know the name of beforehand, and I was like, whoa, he was blowing me away. And another one, Elijah Molden, like I said, he blew me away even more. I had him 19 overall on my big board. He ended up falling to 100 to the Titans, and maybe this is a very cold take, and Elijah Molden deserved to go on 100, but to me, I watched him. And I saw so many elite traits. I watched 2 years from Washington because I had to go back and watch the opt-outs from last year. And he was still someone that stood out to me. I was like, oh, when is this guy declare? I'm like, oh, I'll watch him next year anyways. And then I watched Elijah Molden. And Titans, let me just say, I think you guys got the steal of the draft in my opinion. Elijah Molden falling to 100, I had him at 19. And that's a heck of a steal in my opinion.
Yeah, do you think it'll be a safety or a corner with the Titans?
They I don't know what they drafted him as, but
I mean, it really doesn't matter what they read on the card. They could obviously move around, but they lost a lot of corners. So
I can see either way. He was.
It says corner on here.
Yeah. He played corner, but I also think he would be good as a safety.
Yeah,
that's my problem. So I mean, I think he could go either way. It's just whatever the Titans need.
Yeah, I mean, they lost Adoree Jackson, Malcolm Butler, and Desmond King, so some voids to fill there.
Yeah, and one more in the same area. This is actually 4 picks earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 picks earlier.
Good job.
To the Patriots, and this is Ronnie Perkins. Ronnie Perkins he's been someone that for 2 years now has been sticking out to me in my film watching last year and my watching of the regular season this year, watching some Oklahoma games. Ronnie Perkins just stood out to me. Of course, he didn't start the season because of the suspension stuff, so of course it makes sense that he was going to fall because of off the field stuff that makes you fall in the draft. But selected to the Patriots, a team that keeps their players in line. I really like what I can see from Ronnie Perkins out there on the field. It's really good stuff. He's a fast and very relentless pass rusher, kind of aggressive. I just like the way he plays the game. It's very fun to watch, and I think his style of play just suits how I like to watch football. So as soon as I saw Ronnie Perkins playing, it just it excites me to watch him play because I like him that much. So I think the Patriots got themselves a good edge rusher as long as they can keep him in line.
Yeah, Patriots again. They killed it.
Yeah, they really did. I'm just going to mention some other first round names that I think fell farther than they should have, and I'm sure you guys would agree with most of these what I'm saying. Even Penei Sewell would be one falling to the Lions. I would say that would be a steal for them.
Yeah, kind of.
Another lineman, Rashawn Slater, is a big.
Yeah,
he fell
right into the Chargers' lap. That was perfect for them. Probably one of the easiest decisions of the entire draft.
Jalen Phillips as well. I thought fell really far. You would say Kwity Paye fell really far.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But Phillips too. I had him.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys we could talk about on here as well. I had one more I wanted to mention. I think. No, it was just Jalen Phillips, I think, was the last one.
Yeah.
So, those are just other names to talk about. I mean, I'm sure you guys have different opinions on who you thought might have been better or worse than we think. But, Ryan, go ahead and talk about Kwity Paye.
Yeah, I had Kwity Paye at 5 on my board and Jalen Phillips at 9. So, 2 edge rushers in the top 10 on my board yet. Oh, you had Jalen Phillips at 9 too? Yay! But, yeah, so there's some commonality there. But, really, I was very surprised with how far the edge rushers fell. We didn't see... You had yeah. But really, really surprised with how the edge rushers slide. I thought the Raiders would for sure take one. I mean, the Vikings before they traded back.
The electric slide.
Okay. But yeah, not an edge rusher taken
Cuban
until
shuffle.
pick 18. But Kwity Paye, my number one edge rusher, just a relentless rusher who's aggressive. You know, I always say this about him, something I noticed. Even if he doesn't win the matchup or get to the quarterback, you can tell that even when he's playing the best offensive lines in the country, like Alabama, Wisconsin, Ohio State, like he is causing problems and he is a lot to handle. Because even if the lineman is able to block him for long enough, it takes everything in that lineman. Kwity Paye is just relentless. He's athletic. He's physical. He's a very strong tackler. Good arms. He can force fumbles. Just absolutely blew me away. He was, I think, the second prospect I watched. So at first, when I watched him, I was like, okay, let's wait. We got to compare him to other guys. Maybe I won't be as high on him. But no, still really stood out from the crowd. I think he's the best defensive player in the entire draft. Fell to 21 to the Colts. Great steal, even though edge rusher wasn't a big need for the Colts. The Colts are a team that's ready to win now. So it's just, hey, best player available. I think Kwity Paye was at that time. And wait, yes, I do. Yes, I think Kwity Paye was at that time. And the fact that the Colts were able to get him, that defense is already stacked with many playmakers. And as a Texans fan, I was very upset to see at least one of my favorite players in the entire draft, go to my rival team. But you know what? Yeah.
But let's stop talking because
She's choking
I'm
up here.
getting choked up talking about Kwity here. It's emotional. But
It's
no,
okay,
Kwity ended up in a great situation. As I get my voice back, I'm very happy for Mr. Bay.
Yeah, and one more person that's farther back in the draft, and honestly, I can't tell you what pick he went to or really what team, to be honest. But I did limited film watching, but this is someone that I did watch. I like Dylan Moses in the limited time I watched
Undrafted,
him.
actually.
Yeah, one
To the
undrafted,
Jaguars.
exactly. And so I think that's really good for them. I thought he was someone that could have gone higher up. I didn't do enough research, obviously, or maybe the teams were just wrong. But it was someone that I found was always getting to the ball. Always in the play, and someone that I really liked watching my, again, limited film on Alabama, but I like Dylan Moses. And he was hyped up coming into the season, too, so it wasn't just just me.
But then there was, for sure, you're right. And there was also I think he had some knee injuries. I don't know how much
Yeah, he did have
played
a lot of
throughout his
injuries.
career. But yeah, if that pans out, and I think he's going to start, obviously on, injured reserve or something. But if that pans out, that could be a late round, or no, not late round, an undrafted gem for Jacksonville, which that actually reminds me of one more person I want to talk about. Another undrafted gem that I don't know how this player went undrafted. I really don't think I'm being biased because I'm very high on this player. I genuinely, even if you, had a 5th round grade on him, how you can put up the numbers and perform the way this player did, even in a shortened season that had 6 regular season games for this guy, how you can put up that production and go undrafted and pass all the, this really, really confused me. I was listening to the draft and it's just how could
You
every...
haven't said a name yet.
I'm getting to it. How could every NFL team pass on this player with their last pick? I don't get it. I'm talking about Jarrett Patterson, the running back from Buffalo. I absolutely loved watching this guy on tape. I think he's going to be the James Robinson of this draft. Again, I texted these two in our touchdown table group chat late at night when I was watching film just to get it out there and just so I could have proof that I said it. I said I have found the next James Robinson, and it is Jarrett Patterson. Didn't think he was going to go undrafted, so didn't think the comparison would be quite, completely parallel. But James Robinson, undrafted, has a great rookie year and is considered one of the best.
But now they drafted ETN.
Yeah,
so.
and that was another weird thing. Maybe if we do a video on picks we don't like, but Jarrett Patterson, just watch the way he plays the game, and you can say, "Oh, well, the inferior competition." He doesn't have 3 first-rounders blocking for him on his offensive line like some other guys do. It's like when you talk about Zach Wilson, the inferior competition. It evens out. It's not like Zach Wilson's throwing to Devontae
I think
Smith
also with
against
Zach Wilson, you watch the tape. I didn't watch Jarrett Patterson, but with Zach Wilson, you can see, regardless of who the defender is, the ball's right where it needs to be.
Exactly, and it gets
doesn't matter.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're playing Alabama or Central Arkansas. Some things just there's obvious talent there. That's what I see with Jarrett Patterson. The danger in open space. He can run up the middle. He's a nifty player. Hangs onto the ball. Can be a workhorse running back. I think like James Robinson, a smaller school guy that somehow went under the radar. Again, I think it's ridiculous that he got undrafted. I think he's going to be the James Robinson of this draft class. And
the problem is, how are they going to use him?
Exactly. He's with the Washington football team, by the way. And I know they had Gibson, who showed some promise last year. But we'll see if he gets his opportunity on the field. Maybe he'll make the most of it. So, what?
He's got to earn it.
He's got to earn it. Hey, he may never get a second one. But actually, I think he's from Maryland. So it's kind of cool that he gets to play with the Washington football team, and there's like a picture of him on his Instagram with him, like, those things where it's like the body there, and you go over there and you like stick your head over it, and then you take a picture, like, and then it's like you're the player. There's one of him with a Washington football team player, so that's cool. So happy for him.
They weren't that at the time.
Well, yes, but you know what I mean. But
now
yes.
they are, so we won't discuss
Yes.
beforehand. They were the Redskins.
Okay. Well, that's well known, but thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Jarrett Patterson, ridiculous that he went undrafted, very high on him. He was in my top 30. Beyond ridiculous that he went undrafted, and I'm hoping he gets an opportunity on the field. Everyone deserves an opportunity on the field.
It's true.
Excited for Jarrett, and
sometimes limited though. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know how many. I don't know how many designated field days he has, or what counts, or I mean.
All right,
we'll
I think that means it's time
I think
to
it
wrap
does.
this
Yeah,
video
Jarrett
up.
Patterson. Remember the name.
All right, so we could keep going on. There's a lot of people that could have been steals.
Davis Mills.
I could keep going. Davis.
Hey, so someone actually said that Davis Mills was a steal. You know who it was?
Peter Schrager?
No, David Shaw, the Stanford head coach.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, we could say Mac Jones, Caleb Farley.
Farley definitely
Greg
could
Newsome,
be a steal.
Asante Samuel, Elijah Moore, Jordan, I know you liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Landon Dickerson, Kellen Mond, Terrace Marshall, De'Ami Brown. I mean, we could keep going.
De'Ami Brown was a steal.
There's a bunch of people
But I don't wanna
that
talk
fell
about it.
farther than a lot of people thought. So let us know who you guys thought was a steal on this draft, or if you agree, let us know in the comments. We'd love to talk down below. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell. We love the support from you guys. Go check out our podcast and our Instagram, both just the Touchdown Table. You can find the podcast anywhere podcasts are, so it should be pretty easy to find. Thank you guys once again
this week.
for watching, and with that, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.